Hi, welcome to episode 4 in the short series of films that we've entitled The Master Trainer. In the last episode, if you were with us, we explored how we can embark upon a process of training that will enable us to provide a quality learning environment. And the first step in that process we identified as understanding and analysing training need. We also looked at the fact that the first part of that is to look at performance and make that our starting point. And so in this episode, I just want to explore a little more the movement that takes place from identifying a gap in performance and moving to identifying a training need. Okay, maybe I can ease us into this by asking just a couple of questions. First question is this. If you think about the job that you do, I'm going to make the assumption that you can always do a better job. So in the job that you do, what is it that's stopping you do the best job that you can? The second question, which is the flip side of that, what do you feel needs to be in place, or what do you feel needs to happen in order for you to do a better job? They're the two questions. Now then, if your answers to those questions were in the area of, well, look, I think I need more development, I think I need to have more skill or more knowledge, then you are in the minority of cases that have training as a solution to your performance dilemma. Because research has shown, research over the last couple of years has demonstrated that actually only 20% of performance issues can be related to a deficiency in skill and knowledge. And that means that 80% of the issues lie in non-training areas. Why is this important? Well, let me give you a scenario, and you'll be familiar with it. And the scenario is this, that somebody in your organization comes to you and says, I have an issue with my team, or I have an issue with my department, and I need some training. Maybe a couple of individuals, but I need some training. And an L&D practitioner would immediately pick up their folder and rush off and sit down and have a cup of coffee with that person and start to explore the training need that exists. A master trainer, however, when they receive the request for training, training is the last thing on their mind. It's the last thing on their mind because they recognize that actually training has an 80% chance of failing when it comes to dealing with performance issues. The problem with a training needs analysis is that normally it only has one outcome. And the outcome of a training needs analysis is a learning event, training course, workshop, whatever. A performance gap analysis prior to a TNA actually enables the master trainer to provide the line management with opportunity to explore more holistic solutions to their performance need. Okay, so the next question then is, how does a master trainer do this? How do they go about offering back to the line managers some of these other areas that they can look at? Well, in my experience, there are many, many reasons that we could pick up to identify causes of poor performance. But also, there's probably 4 of these that crop up over and over again. And I think I'd just like to share them with you for a few moments. The first one I seem to find over and over again is this, what I would call task ambiguity. Some people might call it job creep. It would be expressed by a job holder by saying, listen, the job that I signed up for is not the job I'm actually doing now. And what is being acknowledged there is the fact that organizations are dynamic organisms, that work itself is a dynamic activity. And just because the job specification says A, it's quite reasonable to expect that the job in the real world now has actually moved to B. But somewhere along the line, nobody has acknowledged this. And so what we have is we have a set of expectations in the head of the line manager. We have a set of expectations in the head of the job holder, and really they're poles apart. There is at least, should we say, non-alignment. But actually, it can be quite ambiguous because neither of those expectations are probably what's written down in the job specification. So really, we have this situation where because of task ambiguity, we have wrong expectations on everybody's part. And so a master trainer is able to explore that and to explore some of the expectations and allow the line manager and the job holder to have a conversation about that. I suppose the second area that I find over and over again is what I would call general resource issues. The fact that the job holder doesn't have what's required to enable them to perform at the standard that's required. And that could be, again, a range of things. It could start off at just not having access to information. It could be the fact that the job holder has the wrong tools for the job. Maybe they're working with out-of-date computer programs. It could be that the job holder doesn't hold the necessary authority levels to perform properly. As we move into management, it could be that the budgets aren't there. It's all the usual stuff, all of the resources required to do the job. And of course, we all know if we don't have the necessary resources, then we can't perform to the best of our ability. The third area that I would suggest we should explore, put simply, is motivation issues, the motivation of the job holder. And I guess we need to acknowledge that lack of motivation in a job holder can very often be tracked back to the way they are managed. And again, it could be a number of issues around the way they have been managed. It could be that they're not receiving feedback. It could be that they're not having any clear goals laid out for them. It could be that they don't have any incentives to perform better. And of course, I'm not talking about the big cash prize there, because there's no big cash prizes out there for doing a good job. But there are other ways of incentivizing people. And so there are no incentives or poor incentives. The other thing, of course, is that quite often there is unresolved workplace grievance. Maybe conflict has not been dealt with properly. Maybe there's hostility hanging around in the atmosphere. And all of this impacts a job holder's motivation. The last area is very simple. We all are faced with it, and that is an abundance of administrative obstacles. And they nearly all fall into the fact of policies being unknown, unread, misunderstood, processes that are out of date, procedures that demand us to do things that don't allow us to drive in a straight line. We have to go all around the world even to get an answer to a question sometimes. And so we have all of these areas. Now, a master trainer is able, in their conversation, just very, very simply, to recognize and tease out some of these issues. And as they tease out those issues, the master trainer is then able to be in a position to go back to the line manager or for the person who's requested the training and actually not just stand there and say, I don't think training is going to work with this one. They're there in a position where they can add value. And they can lay out in front of the person they're talking to a range of issues that they could explore and see how they can put these things together. And without going anywhere near a training room, without going anywhere near the expense of training, they can deal with the performance issues. So I just want to leave it there, if that's okay with you. Certainly, we've painted in some context to training needs analysis. I'd encourage you, if you wanted to explore TNA as an issue itself, please go to ITEL's website. There's some home study certificates there to do with training needs analysis, and you'll find them very, very helpful. The second thing I'd say to you is, please, as always, I'm really interested in your take on these things, and I would encourage you to leave some comments below. And we can engage in a conversation and we can have some mutual learning. So that's really good. And until next time, goodbye. Hi, thanks for watching that film. I hope there was at least one thing you could take away with you. I want to keep you just for 20 seconds more because I want you to do something for me. This is a brand new channel, as you know, and we've got a load of things that we want to do with you. We've got a ton of stuff we want to give you. The only thing is YouTube needs you to subscribe, and they will then allow us to do the stuff we want to do. Red button down to the right-hand side, click it, all done. Please subscribe. The sooner you subscribe, the sooner we can do great stuff with you. Thanks.